What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Doctor Who review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 15th Doctor Ncuti Gatwa story, The Interstellar Song Contest. This is Series 15, Episode 6, and one that I was going into not sure what this was going to be about. I mean, other than it being about basically the Eurovision Song Contest, but in space. I was thinking, is this going to be a cringy episode? Is it going to be too silly for my liking? What is going on here? What is this episode going to be about? So I was interested going in, but I was slightly worried. But yeah, let's get straight into it with the cast. Ncuti Gatwa as the 15th Doctor. Yeah, he's very good in this one. He actually has a very dark moment at the end where he goes really too far. You know, he starts almost becoming evil. He not evil, but he starts kind of going back towards the Doctor that he was before, I guess, the 14th Doctor, or more like he was as the 10th Doctor, you know, where he was having those dark moments and kind of the Time Lord victorious. He kind of starts going back to that sort of thing, you know, and I will talk about that a little bit later on because I have some thoughts about how that came about and how that went. But yeah, he definitely has some darker moments here. Has some nice little moments as well. It's pretty much separated from Belinda for the majority of the episode. There was actually one point where I thought this was going to be another Doctor Light episode. When he got shot off into space, I thought, oh, is he going to be pretty much out of it for the rest of the episode now? Is this going to be Belinda kind of taking charge here? But it wasn't the case. He did come back. But yeah, all in all, performance-wise, Ncuti does a good job. Farada Sethu as Belinda, yeah, she's fine in this one. I'm going to be honest, not a massive amount for her to do in this episode. Like I said, at one point it looked like maybe she was going to be the main star of this one. It was going to be a Dr. Light. It wasn't the case, and ultimately she didn't really have a whole lot to do. She was with Cora and whatever her partner slash security guard, whatever he was called. She was with them pretty much the entire episode, and she was fine, but she didn't really do a whole lot. I will be honest, I've been a little bit disappointed with Belinda's character the last couple of episodes. She started off the series, you know, seeming really interesting, like a very interesting character, and has become a little bit more boring and not particularly utilized well over the last couple of episodes. So I'm a bit disappointed by that. I'm interested to see what they do with her in the finale. But with all the other kind of returning characters we have coming in the finale, I'm a bit worried that she's going to get sidelined again. So acting-wise, though, Verada does a good job as always. Right, we get onto some points about this episode. Someone is taking over the song contest. So we have this guy called Kid. He is a Hellion, I think is how you pronounce their race. The humanoid looking with horns, basically, and he just randomly stormed in as the Interstellar Song Contest is going on. He storms into like the control room and kind of takes over everyone, takes everyone hostage, and starts taking over the whole broadcast. Kind of out of nowhere, it just happens, and it takes a while for us to get his motivation as to why he's doing this. But yeah, it was interesting to see what's going on here. Somebody basically taking it almost like a terrorist attack, to be honest. On this contest, so was excited to see what was going on there. Kid ejected everyone into space, so eventually, yep, he's taken over the kind of control room, and then he presses a button. It's because this is called the Harmony Station, I think it's called the Harmony Sphere, where this is taking place. It's basically a space station in space, just in the middle of space, and there's like a dome around it, and he presses this button, opens up the dome, and everybody that's just kind of sat there watching the performances and everything, they all get sucked up into space, and it's like, and they all start like freezing. The Doctor is one of those. He gets taken out there. Belinda manages to stay inside this little pod they were in, and it closes behind her, so she's fine. But the Doctor and the TARDIS get sucked up into space and frozen, seemingly dead, because, you know, you're getting put up in space, you freeze because of the absolutely ridiculous temperatures, and yeah, it's like, what is going on here? This guy's just killed all these people, and the Doctor's one of them. Mavity is still a thing. Now, this is an interesting point. Of course, Mavity, well, it's the word for gravity that they seem to use in Doctor Who now. Ever since Wild Blue Yonder, I'm pretty sure it was, when the 14th Doctor and Donna went back and saw Isaac Newton, and they gave him the word gravity, but he misheard it as Mavity. And ever since, whenever someone says gravity, they seem to say Mavity. Now, it's only been every now and again that we hear this said, but in this episode, gravity was said a lot, so Mavity was said a lot. There was a good point where it was like 30 seconds of dialogue where I think Mavity was said about 5 or 6 times. Whereas in the past when we've heard it one off here and there, you could miss it. Here you couldn't miss it. It was said so often. And I don't really know how I feel about this. On one hand, I'm happy that they're keeping this Mavity thing going, otherwise it would be a plot hole if it just stops. At the same time, if this is going to be a thing for Doctor Who forever, that Mavity is just the new word, it's going to get a little bit annoying because this is a show about time and space travel, so gravity is something that is talked about quite often. So if they're going to be saying Mavity for the rest of time in Doctor Who, it could get a little bit on my nerves, I will be honest. But also, do I think this is going to get brought up at all as to why this Mavity thing's happening? I'm not sure it is, to be honest. I think this is just what it is now. So I'm intrigued by it, but I'm also like, will this stop? When will it stop if that's the case? I'm a little bit unsure about it. Susan appears in the Doctor's head. This is probably one of 2 big moments in this episode, and that is when the Doctor's out in space, frozen, seemingly dead. Susan, all of a sudden, his granddaughter Susan, who we haven't seen, I guess, since the 5 Doctors, I believe. Might have seen her since then, I can't quite remember. But, the first Doctor's companion, the Doctor's granddaughter, haven't seen her for a long, long time. She appears in the Doctor's head, basically telling him to survive, to, get back to the space station. It was a moment that I was not expecting, because I managed to, thankfully, even though I'm watching this episode quite a while after it's been broadcast, I managed to stay away from the spoilers and didn't see that coming, so that is big. We still don't 100% know what's going on with that at the moment, whether it'll be mentioned more in the finale. I hope it will. We'll have to wait and see. But Susan, Carol Ann Ford, she's right there talking to the Doctor, and that seems to give him a bit of a spring into his step to use this confetti cannon to get back onto the ship, which is my next thing, which is a little bit of a problem I have. How did the Doctor unfreeze himself? So he was frozen, you could see him, he's all frozen, he's seemingly dead in the vacuum of space, but hearing Susan's voice in his head, and seeing her in his head, I guess, as well, he manages to, I don't know, warm himself up, become unfrozen, grab one of these confetti cannons, and shoot his way to the space station. How? How does that work? This is giving me Princess Leia from, I can't remember which Star Wars it was. Was it, it was one of the new ones, but I can't remember which one. Was it The Last Jedi or the other one? I can't quite remember, but it didn't really make sense to me how that happened. Graham Norton is a hologram on the space station, so I did know about Graham Norton being in this episode. That's kind of been not really a spoiler, just not even really a leak. I think they've just kind of mentioned it, like, Graham Norton's in this episode. He is just a hologram, and he is playing Graham Norton, so I quite like that. And it was nice to see him. I don't mind Graham Norton. I think he's all right. I watch his show every now and again, usually when there's a Doctor Who actor on there. He's fine, and I think in this one he was a nice little cameo. Cora is a Hellion. So the kind of main singer of this contest is called Cora. She was going to kind of be the big act of the contest. We don't get to see her performance straight away because everything goes to shit, basically. It turns out that she is actually one of these Hellion species with the horns, but she's cut her horns off. So that's a nice little reveal, although I will be honest, I did see it coming from a mile away as soon as she saw Kid, and I can't remember the other woman's name, on the kind of little monitor screen. Just the way she reacts to it, straight away I was like, she's clearly one of them, isn't she? I saw that coming from a mile away. So much for this Doctor having gone through therapy. That is the note I've made there. Now I know that the Doctor can have these little outbursts now and again, but for me, this just didn't really work. He got really angry at Kid and this other woman for basically trying to kill all these people, and then the 3 trillion other people that are watching this show, he's also going to try and kill them as well. And yeah, the Doctor's not happy about it. Obviously, I mean, fair enough. He's trying to kill 3 trillion people, so fair enough. But just the way that he then uses that glove and then just starts shocking Kid. I don't think he was really doing much damage to him, to be honest. But it still looks pretty violent and pretty awful by the Doctor. And yeah, for me, generally I like it when the Doctor gets a little bit dark. But with the whole kind of thing we had when this Doctor, bi-generated from the 14th Doctor, we had the whole theory thing. And that was supposed to be, the Doctor getting back to the way he used to be, and all that sort of stuff. And it just, for me, it just felt a little bit off here. I don't know. The Earth is destroyed on May 24th, 2025. So eventually we are able to stop Kid. His whole thing was something about that like poppy honey advertising thing that they do on the Interstellar Song Contest. That's got something to do with the Hellions' home planet. And it's basically destroyed their home planet for whatever they're doing. For this company, this advertisement company with honey or something. I don't 100% understand what it was. It was a bit of a weird, a bit of a weird motivation for him to kill all these people just to basically get revenge at the company. He's going to kill every single person that watches this. Felt a little far-fetched in my opinion. But once they eventually figure all that out and save the day, Graham Norton comes back as his hologram and says, oh yeah, Earth, of course I died. I'm just a hologram. I died many years ago. Earth actually was destroyed on May 24th, 2025. It just kind of disappeared, blew up and disintegrated basically. And yeah, that's when the Doctor and Belinda are going, okay, this is why we can't get back to that date then. And finally, Mrs. Flood is the Rani, and she bi-generated. So, Mrs. Flood the Rani, a theory that's been going around pretty much since Mrs. Flood was first appeared on our screens, and we thought something weird was going on with her. One of the first things people thought was, she's the Rani. It kind of fizzled away. Turns out she is the Rani. Although she then, because she gets sucked out into space, she's like the last one to get brought back, quite conveniently, might I say, after the Doctor's already left. But then she's, I don't know, she's obviously a little bit damaged by this experience of freezing in space, that she then bi-generates, once again, bi-generation's back again. Yeah, I still don't know how I feel about that. And she bi-generates into another Rani, but then this new Rani, much younger Rani, says that Mrs. Flood isn't the Rani, she's a Rani, and she still just calls her Mrs. Flood. So I'm a bit confused about what's going on there, but now we've got this new Rani, this younger Rani, who I assume is going to be the main villain for the finale. I'm interested to see what's going on there. I'm interested to see what they do with the Rani, a character that hasn't been used massively in Doctor Who, only a couple of times in the classic series. So far, I've not really seen a whole lot of Rani stuff from her. I mean, the Rani in the classic series was very much, she was like a scientist, basically. She loved doing science experiments and things. She was kind of the master, but a scientific version, instead of just the master being, I want to rule everything and be the best. The Rani kind of had that same premise, but she was all about science and stuff, so we haven't really seen any of that yet. I'm hoping we get that in these next couple of episodes, because otherwise she's just kind of going to be another master, and yeah, I think there needs to be more there for me. But there we go, that was my review for the Interstellar Song Contest. A rating out of 10, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. I didn't love this episode. I think partly I'm not really into like the Eurovision Song Contest. It's not something that I've ever watched other than a few clips here and there. So in that regard, it didn't really work for me. I was expecting this to be more cringy than it was, so I'm happy in that regard. It was still a little bit cringy. The plot for me was a bit lackluster, this basically guy who's just trying to get revenge on a corporation and just kill all these people just because. It felt a little bit wafer thin for me and not particularly interesting. And yeah, there were just a few little things here and there that I wasn't a big fan of. The Susan cameo was interesting. I hope it goes somewhere. And of course, the Rani, Mrs. Flood finally being revealed as the Rani is interesting. But once again, I want to know how that goes in the next couple of episodes. But yeah, I've given it a 5 out of 10. It's a lower rating than I actually gave the Robot Revolution. I think they're about on par, to be honest. So on second viewing, they might both be around about 5 out of 10. But that is what I'm giving this episode for now. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.